going on, everybody? It's Tuesday night. Another Tuesday. The day that comes after Monday, but before Hump Day. It's the Overlook Drive-In here with Mr. Mike Bish of the Take One podcast. And, dude, it's Dean Renner's favorite 5-week period of the show. Pretty sure he's either not tuning in or getting ready to hate on absolutely everything we're saying. It's Scream. It's Scream talk. Lots of Scream talk. What's going on, dude?
What's going on, man? Excited to be here. Excited to talk Scream for the next 5 weeks. If Dean is tuning in, he might want to tune out before I give my scores for this film, because my man is going to be pissed, and I'm here for it.
Ooh. Hot words from Mike.
Oh yeah. By the way, caw. Fly Eagles fly, baby. Super Bowl week. Let's not forget that.
Super Bowl week indeed. Dude, I'll be honest. I don't even know who they're playing. Who are they playing?
The Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, go Eagles then.
Also, good news about the Super Bowl. I think you're still behind, but with the Super Bowl being on Sunday, they are releasing episode 5 of The Last of Us early this Friday. So, for all Last of Us fans, we get to see it a couple days early.
I'm a huge Last of Us fan. I'm digging what I've saw so far, and there's just some fucking terrible language, terrible grammar, if you will. And I'm still have not seen the final 7 minutes of episode 1 and anything afterwards. It's just been crazy. I want to, at this point though, I'm kind of wondering, well, I've fallen this far behind. This was episode 5, right?
Episode 4. Episode 5 comes out Friday.
Okay, well, maybe I can catch back up. But if I fall any further behind, I might just wait and binge the whole thing.
Not a bad idea. But I will tell you, man, it gets fucking good. I think episode 3 is one of the best episodes of TV I've seen in a long time. I think episode 5 follows up in the same manner. Episode 5 is really good as well. So it's one of those shows where it definitely gets better, and I'm excited to see what they got going for it. I'm in episode 4. My apologies.
So, dude, there's a lot, and we will be on the show visually too. I'm just doing some stuff behind the scenes at the moment. I gotta admit, this was not on the radar for me. I don't know if it was for you. But out of nowhere, we have Freddie Prinze Jr. and Jennifer Love Hewitt returning for a sequel to I Know What You Did Last Summer. And I have to say, I did not see this one coming.
Yeah, I have to agree, man. I didn't see this one coming either. Am I surprised? I don't want to say I'm super surprised that they try to reboot or, whatever you want to call it, this franchise with the success of Scream, Halloween. It was kind of only a matter of time. And listen, I think the most surprising part for me is Jennifer Love Hewitt and Freddie Prinze Jr. returning. But no, I agree with you. It was definitely something that was not on my radar. I was not looking forward to, it was just something I wasn't looking forward to because I didn't think that this was going to happen, but, not totally surprised that it's coming back into, the mix, I guess you could say, with Scream and Halloween out there. It's weird because I haven't heard from Freddie Prinze Jr. in a long time. Like, he stepped away. He focused on his family for a while. And then I'm just scrolling on YouTube about 2.5 weeks ago, and he's doing one of his first sit-down interviews on a podcast in a really long time to kind of talk about his film career. And I thought, that's interesting. We haven't heard from him in a while, but, maybe he's just stepping in. And then obviously we get this news. So, fairly interesting. I can't wait to see what they do with this and where their idea goes from here. I'm a big fan of the first one. The second one to me is one of those movies that you put on for background noise and you look up for a couple scenes, but other than that, it's just not there as a complete movie for me. And then I think there's one after that, and if there is, I have never seen it.
Um, so Freddie Prinze Jr. Did step away from acting for a while, and then he was actually one of the head writers of WWE for a while. He went and had a job there and worked hand in hand with people like Christian Harloff from Collider and formerly of Collider, Stephanie McMahon, Paul Heyman. So he had experience working with them. I don't know if anything he's done visually acting in a while, but I do know he was the lead voice actor in Star Wars animated series for a few years, and I found him to be very entertaining in that. And definitely, it's weird because like he doesn't sound anything like the guy in those movies. Like if you go listen to a Freddie Prinze Jr. interview now, and then go watch the two I Know What You Did Last Summer movies with him, like the voice is completely different. It's not even it's really not recognizable in my opinion. So it's going to be interesting to see the take on the character. Because I don't know if he could pull off the soft guy because he really isn't that guy, right? So
Yeah.
we'll have to wait and see. I would love to say I find it interesting that we're going back and doing a sequel to the original, but that seems to be what everybody is doing. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. In terms of a TV series coming, not in the not too distant future. Um, but I thought this was one that you could have kept both movies.
Yeah, I think
Or done
so
a sequel
too.
to.
Again, I'm not the biggest fan of the second one, but it works. I think that there are parts of that movie that are good. I think the tension in the second one is a lot deeper. Although in the first one, we talked about it before on this pod or on the Overlook, is having one of the best chase scenes of all time in a horror film. In that first movie, but that second movie to me, again, there's just some elements that doesn't work for me. But I agree 100% that they could totally have kept the second movie. There was no reason to drop that second movie. It's not like they do anything like super, super crazy or, it ends the way the first one kind of ended in a sense. But they're together, they're living together. So I don't know why you couldn't go off of the second one. I don't think the second one is like dog shit. Um, so I don't know. I don't know. I'd be interested to know like once interviews start happening and we get more about this sequel and this project to find out why that second film is not included because I'm sure there's some type of reason for whoever is creating this, but I'm sure we'll find that out the answer to that when it poses.
Yeah, there was a director attached to it, um, but I don't know what she's done. I'd have to pull it up. I am curious to see what they're gonna put forward because I got to be honest, man. I like the first movie. It's one of the first movies we did here on the Overlook Drive-In. Um, the second movie, it's a horror movie. It's not terrible. It's not like I would never watch it again.
Yeah.
Um, but it's also, in my opinion, a drastic fall off from the first movie.
I think one of the things for me, Sean, I'm happy that these two are coming back. I think the one thing that I would ask for them to do in this sequel is to make the fisherman slash hookman, as what I called him growing up. You got to make him darker. You got to make him more scarier. Again, there's some, he's obviously just a normal human being. So you can only go but so far with it, but you can create a lot more tension in it. You can make him a lot more darker as well. But I definitely think that you got to kind of up the ante um in this movie with the fisherman.
Yeah, I don't know where you like. This is gonna sound stupid, man, but does a sequel necessarily mean that the Hookman's even involved?
Are you talking about the same person, or are you just talking about that the
I'm
Hookman period?
talking the Hookman, period. I'm saying there's a chance that they could go in a completely different direction with this. Still have it be a horror movie. Um, but I don't know if I'm sold that it's a guarantee the guy in the raincoat showing up.
I
I don't know if that image is as iconic as some people think.
no, I agree. I don't think is it's that iconic. Um my question would be, I know how he goes out in the second one. So where he pretty much is fucking dead. So is the reason that they're not bringing back that second film due to the fact that, I mean, how can you bring that guy back without making him superhuman? As far as if you were to go off of the first one where he just goes into the water, obviously he doesn't have a hand anymore, but the suspicion is still out there that he is still out there and still alive. I think that that could be a reason why they're going off of a sequel on this one. But I agree with you. It's something that I don't think they have to do. I definitely think it's something that they can explore and kind of go in their own direction and do something different that I kind of hope this Scream 6 movie does, that we'll talk about here in a few minutes. But yeah, man, I'm with you. I think that the book is kind of open on this. They can either bring him back, especially like I said, especially based off how he just fell into the water or was launched into the water in the first one, or you can go in a totally different direction.
So you said something there. It's gonna. I don't know if I want to jump into the scream bit there in a second. I'm gonna have to, but I got to be careful how far we go with something. But I'm gonna touch on it just since you brought it up there briefly. In terms of I know what you did last summer, though. I I just hope like obviously the reason to do it is money. That's why they're doing it. That's why they do these things.
Of course.
Um, but creatively speaking, I really, really hope they have a good idea for it.
Yeah, me too. I honestly, personally, Sean, I think that this film, like, I just think it would have been a very good, a great, in my opinion, standalone film with that first movie. Like, I didn't need a sequel to it. I don't need this one that they're trying to make. I think that first movie is a very good standalone one. And I wish they would have kind of kept it that way.
Yeah, I mean, nowadays though, I mean, every anything and everything is possible for a sequel if there's a chance that they can make money off of it. I mean, Joker, as much as I love it, I thought was your perfect standalone serious comic book movie, and they're going to do a sequel that's a musical. So we'll see what happens. Anything's possible nowadays, man, if they think they can make money off of it. I just know this. What we've gotten since that first movie has been a dip down. I still think the second movie is serviceable. Um, it's weird how the two leads there, Ray and I forget Jennifer Love Hewitt's character's name.
Julie.
So yeah, how they're like separated for like 90% of that movie. Um, so I don't know. And then there was just never like a third one. Um, so we'll have to wait and see. But I just want it to be. I'm not saying it has to be Flanagan-esque, but there better be a good idea behind it. Give us
Yeah,
something good.
I agree.
Surprise people.
Yeah, man, I totally agree. Now I know you kind of said you wanted to touch on a Scream thing. Do you want me to tell you kind of what I meant by what I said first, or do
Yeah.
you want me to hold
No,
off
no,
on that?
no, go ahead.
So for me, when I said that I kind of want them to do something different with I Know What You Did Last Summer, I think we're in a situation where I'm a big Sydney Prescott fan. I'm a big Nev Campbell fan, but obviously she's not in this movie. I think it's a perfect time to do something different in this movie. And one of the things that we have gotten in every single movie that we had was at the end of that film, because it's always been a whodunit film, we find out who the killer is. I would love for them to end this movie with us not knowing who the killer is and that killer getting away or killers getting away. Like, I personally would really enjoy that. Now, I know that's going to go against the Scream handbook and the rules a bit, however you want to explain it. But I think they're in a perfect situation to switch stuff up and do things differently. I think we can all agree that there's a very good chance. I don't even know if it's been officially announced, but I think we know it's coming, a Scream 7 film. So I just think this is a perfect time to do something different. Why not do something different? If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I mean, I just think you pull the trigger on it and you make it happen. But that's personally what I would like to see.
I mean, I guess we're about to go down that rabbit hole. Before we do though, let me ask you this, Mike. So you told me, so hang on, just so we're clear, in case I got lost there because I'm multitasking. That's what you would like to see out of Scream 6, correct?
Yes, I would.
Okay. So let me ask you this. Are you okay then if the movies start to feel far different than the original film was?
Sure. That's just an open-ended question though, because where are you going to take it? If you're taking it into a Halloween Ends direction, not with that. I'm just sorry. I'm not there for that. Um, I even hate
I'm
to
gonna
bring
say Halloween Ends.
I hate to bring that up, but I'm just being honest. Like, that's a direction I would not want them to go. So it
Yeah.
depends. It depends.
No, I totally get it. I understand too. I mean, I'm still having some PTSD, if you will, from that. Um, but I just think people need to be look, if you're going to continue to do these movies, you got to have some variety. You can't just keep doing the same thing over and over and over again. And I found one of the things you said to be very interesting because it's not something, in my opinion, that I see talked about on social media a lot. And that is, how come we never get a Scream killer who survives a movie? They always die. And all I can say is there's multiple endings for this next film, just like they did for the last one. But I do believe one of the endings is not definitive. And I believe anyway. I don't know if this is final cut, but I believe they're setting us up for a cliffhanger.
As they should. Again, it's something different. Again, we both. I mean, I think we all have a good feeling that they are going to have another movie. That they're going to do another movie with this cast and crew and directors. So why not do something different from the past movies? I mean, that's just kind of the way that I look at it. Yeah, I mean, so I'm with it. I mean, you I feel like in a lot of movies we get the whole you've never seen a ghost face like me before, or I am a different ghost face. Well, fucking prove it and have this ghost face escape and get away. Like, I would absolutely love that. I would. It'd be a hell of a twist.
Um, I do. I don't think I've ever been this excited for a Scream film.
Yeah, I'm more excited for this one than I was the last film. which was weird because I didn't like the last film. So maybe I'm trying to put all my eggs in the basket for this one. But then again, I feel like I was super excited last time because I hadn't seen Ghostface on the screen in a long time. But man, my excitement for this is very high up there. Especially ever since we saw the teaser trailer and the full length trailer. I'm starting to see TV ads pop up on YouTube, but I'm not gonna lie, I am avoiding those. I don't want to see every little fucking scene. Like I'm good with the trailer that we got. We are a month and like 2 days away from this movie. I can wait. The trailer was good enough for me to get my excitement up there.
I think it's going to be a fun movie. I'm reluctant to use the word good. I think it will be a fun movie to go see, whether you like it, love it, hate it, or are neutral on it. I do think it's going to be a fun movie, but I think it's a dangerous movie because the things that I've heard have raised my expectations for this movie. And that's a dangerous thing. That's like, it's almost guaranteed. Like, there's probably a 90% chance I'm going to go see this movie. And me put too much stock into some of the things that I've heard that some of them I can talk about here, and we will over the next few weeks leading into the movie, and a couple of them I can't. And if they don't live up to where my expectations are, it's going to be like, oh, well, this was shit then. Another golden opportunity wasted. Congratulations. But at the end of the day, I don't think they care as long as they get money, right? As long as they do well in the box office. And I suspect it's probably going to do quite well. Mike, as we get ready for Scream 6, some rumblings have started to come out about the seventh installment in the franchise, pardon me. Let me ask you this. Would you rather a break or another movie, quickly the very following year? Because all signs are pointing towards not only could the movie be ready for next year, but that filming on that movie might begin much quicker than people think.
Yeah, I'm not shocked. I mean, it's going in the same kind of direction and went with Scream 5 and then Scream 6. So why not keep that trend going with the third one? Again, it all depends on what we get out of this second one. I mean, by the time, I'll be honest with you, and I talked about it and I hate to bring it up again, but it's the last franchise that kind of came out with Halloween Ends. Like I felt so exhausted after Halloween Ends for multiple reasons. But especially how that trilogy, that trilogy of those David Gordon Green's film ended. I just was not a big fan of, and there was so much talk around it, and like so much divisiveness around it, and rightfully so. I mean, you either love it or you hate it, but it was just very exhausting. So it all depends on how this movie goes. But I'm honestly just answering today. I think they go ahead and give us another movie next year and kind of wrap up these what seems to be in a lot of horror franchises here lately. 3 movie installments, and then we can go for a break. But I'll tell you, if they end highly on a high note in that seventh movie, I don't know if I would want a break, to be quite honest with you.
Why is that?
Hype. Kind of, I don't know. I feel like when you end something with very good and high like high quality product that you appreciate, you just naturally want more of it. And I just, just being honest with myself and with everybody here, I would fiend for more product, and compared to watching a Halloween Ends that I didn't like, where I was like, okay, I need a break from this. I don't want them to continue to put out bad product or more product that I'm just kind of exhausted over right now. So for me personally, it just depends on how that seventh film ends.
Yeah, that's the ultimate question, and how it performs too. Because at the end of the day, if it's not raking in the money anymore, there's not going to be as high a priority to do something with the IP. So generally how those things go in Hollywood, for better or for worse. I am excited to see what comes of it, though. Before we go any further, dude, I just want to take a second and ask you, because I've seen some frustration online about this. Is we got our Halloween films, right? Like them, love them, hate them. Depends how you feel. I really like 2018. I still like Kills. I think I like Kills more than a lot of people do, and I still really don't give a shit for Ends. Um, we still got 3 new Halloween movies. We still got all that excitement building up to those movies. Okay. We have, we don't have them yet, but we know they're on the way, or at least one of them for sure is on the way. We're finally getting more Friday the 13th stuff. You're getting more Exorcist stuff. Now you're getting I Know What You Did Last Summer stuff. And you have a huge fan base. I can't say I'm part of them, but you have a huge fan base in the Nightmare on Elm Street community sitting there going, when the hell are we getting another movie? And I gotta be honest, dude, the longer it goes without a movie, it really makes me wonder.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I don't know what the holdup is. I'll be honest with you, I haven't read up on anything. I mean, I don't know if there's fucking anything to read up on. It doesn't sound like it. But no, I totally agree. I mean, I feel like every franchise, even I Know What You Did Last Summer, is getting a sequel to its film. So, no, man, I agree. I mean, I'm not the biggest Nightmare on Elm Street fan. There's I think 3 to 4 movies that I enjoy out the entire franchise. Um, so yeah, I mean, but I love Freddy as a character. As an horror icon, I would love for him to come back. You would think that they would capitalize on Freddy Krueger. I feel like even your average moviegoer knows who Freddy Krueger is. So you feel like that they would kind of capitalize on that opportunity. Uh, but it's not, it doesn't seem to be happening. And I'm kind of with you. The longer this drags on, when is it going to happen? I feel like we're in a prime position right now for them to, bring that back with obviously getting Halloween, getting Scream, getting Friday the 13th series coming out. I Know What You Did Last Summer. They're doing literally everything, and that's the one that's kind of in the corner just chilling. I mean, we even got Chucky on TV that has come out with uh, his own TV series. It seems to be doing really, really well. I think they've been greenlit for a 3rd or 4th season. I think it's the 3rd season. So they're doing really well. So what are you doing with Freddy Krueger, who is a horror icon that I would say most horror fans would appreciate or would be interested in seeing on screen again, whether that's a show or a movie. For me, preferably a movie, but I don't know, man. I'm kind of with you. What are they doing here?
I just hate it for the fans too. And I seen this one thread where this guy was saying how much his dad loved Robert England and how he really wanted the chance to see a new Freddy Krueger movie, whether it was Robert England or not, while his dad was still with him. Um, and it was just kind of like it's stuff like that. I know it's people say it's business and it's Hollywood, but it is sad when you get stories like that where someone has someone special to them that's not doing well, and they're trying to holding out hope for a new movie in their favorite franchise or something gives them something to look forward to, and it's like they don't even have that right now because there's just nothing. I hope that changes. I do. There should be a bunch of streaming services at the very least knocking at their door with some ideas. Um, but it's not looking great right now, man.
Yeah, I'm with you. I feel bad for the diehard Nightmare on Elm Street fans as well, because it feels like everybody else is getting their fair share of Michael Myers, whatever their itch is or whatever their number one is, they're getting it. Whether they like it or not, it doesn't matter. They're able to get excited about something. They're able to be disappointed about something. They're able to love something. They're able to feel these emotions with a franchise that they love and appreciate. And the Nightmare on Elm Street fans are stuck watching all of the older films. So I don't know.
By the way, if anybody wants to do some Q&A tonight, please feel free. If you have any questions relating to Halloween, and actually, I have a pretty big Halloween announcement coming up soon, so be on the lookout for that. And I mean, like, very, very big. So I'm hoping to be able to do something with that this month. We'll see. The problem is it coincides with other things, so they all got to work together. We'll see what happens. But yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. Mike, before we go any further, though, you and I were talking before the show about a movie that we're going to go see this week, and it's not in the horror genre, people. But Mike and I, not together, because that'd be a long way to travel to see a movie that's already been out. But we're going to go see the 25th anniversary of Titanic in cinemas, and you'll be able to catch a Patreon Gold Room episode of that at some point this month. So be on the lookout for that as well. Mike, you got anything horror related that you've seen out there before we move on to Scream 96 that's been out there? The big one for me was obviously I Know What You Did Last Summer, but I know the news cycle's been actually pretty active lately.
Yeah, as far as news, man, I haven't really heard too much. So I don't have a lot on that front. A lot of Scream stuff is coming out, but I'll be honest, I'm kind of avoiding a lot of it. Just something I'm not interested in seeing right now. I think with us being so close to it, I can wait. Can't wait to see Winnie the Pooh. I'm excited for. Oh, I'll say this: I went and saw M. Night Shyamalan's new movie, Knock at the Cabin. And if you're familiar with his work, he is somebody who takes big swings and either misses or hits. And I think he's got a double here. I think he hit a double, Shawn. I think it's a movie that you go into and you walk out. That was pretty good. For me, rewatch value. I don't know if it's a movie that I would go back and rewatch a bunch of times. But I do think that this is one of his best films that he has made. I would say definitely in a really long time, but it seems to me that he hit with this one. And I'm not going to spoil it for anybody, but one thing before I get off here, I want to give some love to is I want to give a lot of love to Dave Bautista because he did absolutely phenomenal in this movie. For me personally, I know he's in Marvel movies and other stuff as well, and I've seen most of them. I think that this is Dave Bautista's best performance that he has done. I thought he was pretty good in Glass Onion that recently came out. But he is absolutely phenomenal in this movie. He hits like so many feelings in this movie. He hits so many, like he comes across as a nice, gentle, but violent at times person. And he just does such a great job in the role. And this movie has a lot of tension in it. But I just wanted to take that moment to give a lot of love to Dave Bautista, man, because he's doing absolutely phenomenal right now in the filmmaking industry or in the film industry. And I just think that he just had one of his best performances. And I think whether you're interested in the movie or not, I think it's a movie you should definitely at least watch once. And I can tell you won't be disappointed with the performances in this movie. Storyline is here and there. I know some people that like it, some people that don't. But that's what you get from this director and writer and creator, but definitely go see it for the performances because it was absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, I think Dave Bautista's acting range goes far beyond Drax. Even though his role in it isn't huge, I thought Dave Bautista was fantastic in that. I think it was the second last Bond movie that Daniel Craig did, Spectre, I think it was. And I thought he was really good in Blade Runner 2049 with Ryan Gosling and Harrison Ford. So I don't think he gets enough credit for how good he is. I heard he's good in Glass Onion as well. I haven't seen that yet. So kudos to him. He's definitely made a career for himself. I'm happy for the guy. He seems like a genuinely good dude. All right, let's bust into it. It's Scream from 1996. What do we have here? We have I accidentally closed my page. So one moment. Mike, why don't you tell me about the first time you seen Scream and the impression that it left on you? What made you like this film? Judging by your scores, what made you love this film?
Yeah, I mean, for me, this I don't know. I'll talk. So let me talk about the first time I saw the film. I was about, I don't know, 6 or 7 when I first saw this movie, and I just remember there was something about, again, something about a guy in a white mask that I just thought was creepy and scary. And you got to remember the time and the age that I saw this as well. So it just stuck with me because Michael Myers always stuck with me because it was a guy in a mask that always that walked, but no matter how fast you ran, where you hid, he always found you. With Ghostface, this is a guy who's chasing you at full speed, and while yes, very overly clumsy at times, he still gets the job done until obviously the end of the movie. But I don't know, man. I just think that it was a movie that really stuck with me as far as just Ghostface itself. I think the mask is very iconic. One thing that I think hurts Ghostface a little bit is it's not the same person. It is definitely somebody each and every time. It's not the same guy or girl. So I understand where people are coming from with that, but the iconic Ghostface image of that mask and that costume, that glittery costume, is super iconic, man. And we'll definitely talk about it a lot more. But as far as first impressions, it was absolutely phenomenal. And I'll say it now. I think it's one of the best opening scenes to not only a horror movie, but a movie ever. Like it's on the top list for me. And as far as the ending, I think the ending from when we find out Billy is the killer, from when he turns around and gives us that that carry line, or that I think it's Psycho. I don't know. When he gives us that iconic line, and we find out that he is the killer. From there to the end of the movie, I just think it's so well done, and it starts off perfect in my opinion, and it ends on a perfect note for me as well. And I can't wait to kind of dive into some of these scenes and kind of talk about them because I think that Kevin Williamson did a phenomenal job along with Wes Craven as well.
All right, let's take a look at Scream from 1996. It was directed by Wes Craven, written by Kevin Williamson, produced by Kathy Conrad and Kerry Woods, starring David Arquette, Nev Campbell, Courtney Cox, Matthew Lillard, Rose McGowan, Skeet. Is it Ulrich? Is that how he pronounces his name?
Skeet Ulrich.
Okay. Jamie Kennedy, and the person that everybody thought was the lead of the film, Drew Barrymore. Now, if there's one thing I remember, Mike, was there being some controversy when this movie came out.
Interesting. I'm guessing with the opening scene because I want to say that's one thing that How old were you when this movie came out, Shawn? Do you remember?
I was 8, and my parents went to see it.
Okay. I'm just asking because I haven't I haven't asked this to like somebody who legitly is old enough to remember. just how big Drew Barrymore was at the time and how big of a swing that this decision to kill her off in the opening scene was. Like I would love to talk to somebody who was like actually remembers just how big she was and how big of a moment that actually was in the theater.
So as far as I know, and I don't know behind the scenes stuff with Scream like I do for Halloween or Star Wars or Game of Thrones. I just don't. Um, but I believe the story goes when she was first cast, she was supposed to be the lead of the film. And then something happened. I don't think like any controversy. It might have been it could have been a creative decision, but I feel like it was a schedule thing. But I could be wrong. Maybe none of this happened. I don't know, but I feel pretty confident in saying they marketed her as the lead, they cast her as the lead, and it turns out she was the I guess the second kill of the film, really early on.
Gotcha.
I know my dad and my next door neighbor at the time found it funny that my mom and her friend, who was the neighbor's wife, were pissed about Drew Barrymore getting killed off like 5 minutes into the film.
Yeah, no, I can imagine, man. Yeah, she was on a real hot streak and doing big things then. It was just, unexpected.
Absolutely. Sorry, we got sidetracked there. It was edited by one Patrick Lussier, who that name might be familiar to you because not only did he have a couple of cracks at making Halloween films that didn't come to be, but he made the My Bloody Valentine 3D with Jensen Ackles. So, yeah. Runtime's 111 minutes. It was made for roughly about $14 million and made $173 million
Not bad.
worldwide box office. For 1996 and a horror movie, that's incredible.
What about you though? When did you first see it? I know I gave my answer, and how did that affect you? What stuck with you?
So I seen them. I was very young. I had this neighbor that lived down the hall from me. I seen 1 and 2 on the same night.
God damn, Shawn, you and this
Yeah,
man,
yeah.
you're a lucky guy. I'll tell you what.
She used to live down the hall from me, and we were just like friends growing up. And she had moved out and gotten her own place, and so I would have been like 10. Wasn't the second movie 98? 98. Anyways, I would have been 10 or 11 years old, and my mom let me go spend the night. And she'd moved out early. She was only like 17 or 18. She lived in the same apartment building as us. Just moved into her own building, her apartment in it. So it's not like it was far. No, my mom didn't let me go spend the night at a stranger's house. But what my mom didn't know is we were gonna watch Scream and Scream 2 that night. And I don't know, from that night, man, I always thought the second movie was not just a little better than the first movie. I think the second movie is significantly better than the first movie. But I know I'm in the minority in that.
I love the second movie, so I'm not going to argue with you too much on that.
All right. Well, where do you want to start, man? You're the Scream guy. I have no problem in saying whether anybody loves this franchise or not. In 1996, this movie helped rejuvenate the horror franchise, the horror side of cinema.
I think for me, man, I kind of just want to, we can obviously the way that we do things now is just kind of talk overly about the movie, and then we give our scores. So for me, I personally, I really want to take deep dives into the opening and the ending, and then we'll talk about other stuff as well. But I guess kind of starting off with the opening for me, I said in the beginning that I think it's one of the best opening scenes to a movie of all time. I just think that it's so well written. The dialogue is really good, especially for the '90s. In a horror movie, I just thought the dialogue to that opening scene was really done really well. I feel like Roger Jackson, who voices Ghostface, in this opening scene, his voice is like so calm, really throughout the entire movie. I feel like that this is his best performance because I feel like in a lot of the scenes he comes off as obviously he was a lot younger than he is now, but you can tell in his voice that he's young. You can tell that it's just his voice comes off as a lot calmer, and a lot like his delivery is done really well. So for me, I just think that entire phone sequence is done so well. I love the meta in this, how they talk about Nightmare on Elm Street in the beginning. Obviously, Wes Craven's involved um, in this movie, and they talk. And Drew Barrymore is sitting at that island in the kitchen, is talking about, yeah, the first movie was good, but the rest sucked. Like that's just like perfectly so well done and so well written. And I just thought it was absolutely phenomenal. And then once they get off, I like we finally, obviously this is the first time we get to see Ghostface play this game of what's your favorite scary movie, answer these amount of questions. If you get one wrong, Steve dies, and if you get the next one wrong, you're dead. But I love the, again, I go back to the dialogue when things really start to get real, and he says blondie, which is the color of Drew Barrymore's hair. Granted, we know that Ghostface, or she thinks that Ghostface, this is just somebody prank calling her and fucking around with her. And when he says blondie, she knows that one, he knows who she is. And then once she goes to that front door and hears that doorbell, like it's game on. She knows like there's no more playing around. And then we go out to the chase scene. Again, I thought the chase scene was done really, really well. When Ghostface comes through and they both get tackled to the ground and they get up, that shot of Drew Barrymore running with the phone in her hand and Ghostface is trailing her right behind her, and then in slow motion you see the knife go into Drew Barrymore's chest. Like, man, that's such a great shot, such a great scene. And then obviously her parents come home, and they pick up the phone and they hear her breathing, but she can't say anything because she's in so much pain. And they come out and see her hanging from a tree. I mean, oh man, that opening scene really does still stick with me. Like it's so well done. And I don't know if anybody can argue that. Maybe you will, but we'll see.
I like the second movie's opening scene better.
I honestly, if I was the commissioner of horror fandom, I would drug test Shawn immediately.
I test positive at the moment. Anyways, I like the second opening better just because it feels different, but we'll talk about that next week. I like the first scene. It's good. I dig it. I like, my favorite part of the chase scene is the end where it looks like she's gonna get to her parents. They're like right there. It's like maybe if she would have done something, anything, just slightly different to save her 3 or 4 seconds. That was the difference between life and death. And
let me ask you this: obviously we know it wasn't it wasn't Stu or Billy, obviously behind the Ghostface mask in that scene. We know it's a stunt double, but in your opinion, who do you think that was written for? Do you believe that they were both there? Do you believe it was just one of them there? Who do you think that was supposed to be?
I think that was Billy.
Yeah, I agree.
I think Billy was the more calculative, cold one, and Stu was the more unhinged, you know, throw people around thing. It's weird, you like because you could really open a whole new dynamic with the Scream movies by going, who was who, which one was which in each kill. You could do a whole
Yeah.
podcast series on that.
I,
Go make some evidence and make your case for why it's this person in this scene. And
I just wanted to ask you that because I've been to a couple conventions and I've been to a couple screen panels, and those are questions that have been posed to the actors, and it was just cool to see them kind of figure out, like, who do you think it was? Like, you're right, that's something that could definitely be open into interpretation. I don't know. I just think that it was Billy, man. I don't know.
Justin saying it was Stu's ex.
Yeah, but remember,
Exists.
but remember, Stu was with his girlfriend all night. Billy was the one that was out that stopped by Sydney's house. So I'm just saying, who knows? Stu's girlfriend could be covering for him. But I agree with you, Shawn. I definitely think that it was Billy.
Oh my God, I want to say so much. Anyways,
About what?
nothing. Just tempting. Dude, I think this movie drags.
I don't, man. I think it's so perfectly paced. But I'll again, this is why film is so fucking phenomenal. Now, I'm not going to sit here and clip this video and drag Shawn in some Scream group chats like people did with Halloween Ends, just because we disagree. But I'm interested to know, like,
Wait, people do that? People,
yeah. Like if you have different opinions, you're just a scumbag.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So
I try to block out all that noise. I live in my own little bubble here, so
as you should. But Shawn, like, if you don't love, like, being that Scream isn't your number one film in the franchise, you're not a fan at all. I'm just letting you know. It's nice that you enjoy this movie and you think it's a good movie, but the fact that you like Scream 2 more, you're just not a fan, my guy. I apologize. It's just the way it is.
Well, I like Halloween 4 better than the original, and I prefer Texas Chainsaw from 2003. So. By the way, the Friday remake's my favorite. So
that last one, the Texas Chainsaw one, I'm on board with you with. You're not gonna get no arguments out of me. I agree with that, and I'm a big fan of the Friday remake as well, although it is not my favorite. But yeah, what do you feel like is the most draggiest part of this movie?
The middle. There's just like this area in the middle where nothing happens. There's no attacking. There's no killing. There's nothing. We spend some time with the fawns, and
hey, he gets gutted. Ow, owie, owie.
Yeah. He does. Yeah, I don't know. I think there's a good 20 minutes you could cut out of this first movie, and I feel like it would be a much cleaner, much better paced film.
I don't know, man. I think it's perfectly paced. So that's something we'll definitely have to agree with. I do want to ask you something because you brought up the fawn scene. Do you think do you think the dialogue in this movie was corny at all, in your opinion? Like, when I say dialogue, I'm talking about like the references, like when the principal goes out and he sees the guy mopping the floor and he's in the Freddy outfit and his name is actually Fred. Does that bother you? Because for me, I see some people complain about that, but that's not a problem. Like, I didn't think it was, like, I was fine with that.
I mean, I'm completely fine with it. Wes Craven's making the film. If he wants to give a nod to one of his previous films, let the guy fucking do it, is my take on it. And I didn't mind it. I thought it was cool. I dug it.
Interesting. Yeah, I just wanted to know.
Yeah. Um. Yeah, I don't know. I think there's a section of this film that could be trimmed out that isn't, and it drags for me. But I know a lot of people love this film. It's very sacred to them, even. Um.
Especially like if this is like your first slasher you ever see, like yeah, like I could definitely understand why. Also, I want to what are like three big positives for you in this movie? Like that you absolutely love or really like?
Well, the score is good. You know,
I actually listen to the soundtrack a lot more than you would think.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, it's actually quite good. Um, I thought that the costume design, like, remember, I'm old enough to remember there's a time where there's no such thing as Ghostface. Didn't exist. That costume in the dark was scary. I thought they did a good job. Now I see it. It's hard to. It's just really hard to take Ghostface seriously, which is why I'm glad that there's some subtle changes in this next movie. I know there was in the previous movie too, but they're a little more in your face in this upcoming movie. So you you had the right image for your killer for the movie. You had a good score, and honestly, the cast was strong. And you know, say what you want about these movies and how they come across. These are all, and I do mean all, very well, cast movies filled with talent from whether it's big screen talent or people from prominent TV series. I actually think the acting in Scream movies, um, at least the acting talent that's a part of the movies, is better than it gets credit for. How
No,
you use that talent, that's up to you.
yeah, I agree. And obviously, you've seen my score, so you know how I feel about the acting. I don't know. This movie was just, you alluded to it. It's just very well casted. The acting was really good in it. Like Jamie Kennedy's character, like he perfectly fits for what he was written to do. Um, Billy came off I'm sorry, Ski Aldrich came off as Billy exactly the way he should have. The improv that Matthew Lillard had at the end, or really throughout this movie, but especially the ending of the movie was really good as well. He brings that like comic relief to it that like is funny, but I don't know. Matthew Lillard is just a character, and he's one of my favorite people actually in all of the Scream movies. And I kind of wish he would have got a little bit more recognition as far as acting in his career. Like I know he did Scooby Doo, but I definitely think that he. You said what?
Scooby Doo.
I definitely think that he should have been involved in a lot more. I did see something the other day. I don't. He's getting involved with some horror director or something like that. I had to look it up. So he's getting ready to be involved with something. So that's interesting because he deserves it, in my opinion. I think he's a well down to earth dude, and I don't know. I think he's pretty good in this movie.
Can I just say I was truly disappointed when Billy and Stu didn't dice Randy. I can't stand Randy.
Really?
Oh my god, he drives me nuts. So when he finally gets it in two, it was maybe not when I first seen it, but when I watched it again when I was older, when he finally got it, I was like, yeah, take that, you annoying shit.
Well, what's crazy is like if I'm writing down like my top 5 scenes, he's in 2 of my top 5. Like I have to throw in the Randy rules just because I feel like the rules that scene is just so good with you can never have sex, and they're like booing and throwing, and he's like big no, big no. Not to mention fucking John Carpenter's Halloween is showing right there too. I just think that that's done really good. And then the video store scene, I just think is absolutely hilarious, like their interaction together. And then when Billy comes up at the end, I just think I don't know. I just think it's so good. I was talking about this last night on the Take One podcast. When they're in the video store and he's like, "Do you think Sid would date me?" And Stu was like, "Ooh, no, I do not at all." And then I go back to where Sydney has her first phone call with Ghostface, and she thinks it's Randy changing his voice, and she was like, "I like what you're doing with your voice, Randy. It's sexy." I'm like, if Randy ever found out that she said that about him, he would have died a happy man. Like, and unfortunately, my man did not get to know that information. So,
oh, poor Randy. Poor Randy. Yeah,
I wasn't too upset, to be honest. Even though I like him, I just thought it was fine.
He got
time to go.
Bad. You know, I'd go as far to say this. I would say, and I know we're getting a little away from Scream here, but it's kind of a Scream, chat, and will be for the next few weeks. I would go as far to say, when you look at those original 3 films compared to the 2 that have come out since, I don't know if there's a real good opening in the 2 that we've gotten since. I'm not saying they're terrible.
Well, I'll tell you this. I'm glad you brought that up. I talked about the first movie being one of the best openings to a movie. I think one of the worst openings to a movie is fucking Scream 4. You want to talk about a heaping pile of dog shit? That's exactly what that is. Yeah. Sorry for people who are out there that love 4, but holy shit. You want to talk about brutally, like absolutely butchering an opening scene. That opening scene in Scream 4 is a tough watch. I know you were talking about the 2 newer ones, but I do like the opening scene to the last movie. I just felt like it was kind of rushed, in my opinion. Like it didn't have time to breathe like the first one or the second one or even the third one. So no, I agree with that. And then the fourth one, wow.
No, it was rushed. Make no mistake. But I got to tell you, those first 3 openings, the Drew Barrymore opening, the theater opening, which we'll talk more about tomorrow, and then Cotton, like I hate that he goes in the third one, but man, he's so entertaining when he's on screen.
He is, and I love that, and I can't wait to dive into 3 because I like it a lot more than a lot of people do, but I like Cotton a lot more than a lot of people do. So.
Me too. I'm pro Cotton. Give me some Cotton.
It's like he's goofy in his own fucking way. Like, especially, we'll talk about it next week, but the second one where he's all serious and then he's like, "I wasn't planning on shooting you, Sydney. I hope you know that. Like, I wasn't planning on doing it. I promise."
How long till we get the Scream goes back and does a sequel to the first movie?
Oh, they're running out of time. I'll tell you that. Unless you want a 80-year-old Sidney Prescott. Well, she's not that old. Not like Jamie Lee Curtis is now. But if they did that, I can tell you I would not be a fan. I would not be a fan, my guy. Because I feel like everybody in the first one, outside of the legacy characters, they're dead. I mean, Randy's still alive technically from the first one, but I think Billy and Stu, for me personally, are just so strong in this movie. I don't know. I don't want to see that, man. You're making me mad now.
Hey, I mean, everybody else is doing it. I wouldn't, count it as a possibility.
Dude, you're right. I was going to ask you about something else. Do you have anything else you want to talk about? Anything that's kind of on your mind about this movie? I definitely want to jump into the ending, but I didn't know if there was anything else that you wanted to talk.
The garage kill kills me every time. I just I die.
Well, we know it was ultra cold that night. And she talks about that in recent interviews. I think they had a Scream panel not too long ago with all of them on there, and she goes into detail about that and how cold that night like actually really was. But it's so funny. I enjoy the corny dialogue in that, but what cracks me up the most about that scene is, one, it's a unique kill, but like when she actually gets crushed, Ghostface like kind of is in shock. He's like, "Oh shit!" Like he like, "Oh fuck!" Like he looks up and kind of shakes. He's like, "Oh shit!" Wasn't expecting that to happen.
I'm trying to think of anything else comes to mind because I didn't watch this recently before coming on tonight. I just haven't had time. I dig the house, obviously.
Yeah, so iconic, man. There's somebody that I follow on Instagram. Um, he does the Scream house tours. You can go and actually do the tour, and I would love to do that, man. I think one of the coolest things, we talked about this. I'm big into like filming locations and just history. One of the cool things about that house is the kitchen is set up still the same backdrop, same colors. But one of the cool things that I really like that I would love to see is all the knife marks upstairs through the chase where Sydney was getting chased and the knife through the doors. All those knife marks are still there from that movie. And
Wow.
I would just love that's just so cool to me. I would love to go and check that out.
No, that would be cool. That's awesome. It's definitely a big fan moment thing. So
Yeah, because they change a lot of that stuff changes over time. Especially if it's like buildings and stuff like that. And then if it is a house that's kind of still the same, you run into owners that, rightfully so in their own mind that are just kind of assholes about it and don't want people on their property, which I totally understand. But for those knife marks to still be in those doors is pretty cool.
so I do have to ask you this. I know again, I've seen your scores, not to tip our hand too much. Um, I know how much you love this franchise, but I do have to ask you, when you first seen the movie and feel like you were old enough or mature enough to dissect it, what was your reaction to seeing Ghostface's arch nemesis? Because I hadn't really seen a horror movie do this before, but they had no problem putting Ghostface's arch nemesis in these movies. It's not every day you see the guy who's gonna kill you trip over every couch and chair in his path, and yet some people love that. Where do you fall on that, man? What was your reaction when you first
Uh,
saw it?
I mean, when I first saw it, I was a kid. I just, it is what it is. It doesn't bother me really to this day. Um, I don't know. They're teenage kids, especially in this first film. Does it go overboard? Yeah, absolutely. Like so, I don't know. I agree. I definitely think a lot of it is overboard, but I mean that's it. It doesn't bother me. It definitely stands out a lot more now than it did when I was a kid. And as much as it doesn't bother me in these films, I really hope we didn't get a lot of that in this last Scream movie, and I don't think we're going to get a lot of that in this new one. I think we're going to get a solid Ghostface with an S, maybe.
Violent.
Um, yeah, very violent. That is not going to be tripping over shit. One of the things too that I know I'm getting off track, but I was talking. We did the Scream on Take One last night as well, and I was talking to my man Kevin about this, and he gave me his predictions on the killers. And he thinks I'm not good with names because I haven't seen anything, but he thinks it's two older gentlemen. I don't know how it's going to play out, but I want to ask you this, Shawn, and maybe just think in general of a general question. Would you like to see a Ghostface killer who is more middle aged to older instead of these teenage kids?
Yeah, I'd also like to see one that doesn't rely so much on speed and actually has confidence and doesn't have to seem like they're in just as much of a panic as the victim. I do think you can do a different ghost face, and dare
Yeah.
I say, we might be about to get some version of that here in about a month.
Yeah, I kind of figured that as well. Again, more changes that I think are positive ones. I'm guessing you asked me that question because you think it's obviously overkill with the tripping.
Yo, I think it's way overkill. I think it's funny, it almost feels like it has to happen. But yeah, it's something else. Um,
But
I,
like, it's obviously just the way Ghostface is written to be corny and like when do you remember when they're going through, I think it's the news van, and Sydney escapes out the back, and Ghostface tries to fit through the back, and he gets angry and kind of like slams his hand on the. Like, we don't see that out of regular killers. You know, they're supposed to be brutal and mean, but it's just the way Ghostface is. But no, I agree with you. I'm not going to sit here and argue with you on that because it's very obvious. And so yeah, no, I agree with that.
What do you think this movie does best?
Ah, man, that's a good question. I don't know. What's your answer? Let you answer first.
I think the first movie does a really good job of, hey, it's not just a slasher. It's this. They do a good job of telling you a story that's already happened, which would be Sydney's mom, and how it affects the story that we are watching play out on screen. And there's a little more of a serious tone again in those first two movies compared to even the rest of them, specifically 3 and 4, though. So that'd be the big one that stands out to me.
I would hate to piggyback off of you, but I would say I have to agree. And one of the reasons that I agree with you, and this is one of the things I was going to bring up in the final scene, is, you know, the rule is there is no motive, right? For why they're doing what they're doing. But I think one of the best moments in this movie for me personally is, and this goes into the storytelling for you, is he says, Billy says there's no motive, and then he gets real serious with Sydney and tells him that his, mother was, or that his father was messing around with Sydney's mom and made his mom abandon them. And like, it's such a serious scene. It's such a motivating scene that I feel like a lot of people, maybe not obviously to that degree, but people can relate to parents abandoning them, and how does that go with their mental and the reasoning why behind that. And I think it's such a very well done scene, and it's a shocking scene to the point where Stu is standing behind him, and Stu he gets serious, like he's in shock about what happened. So I would agree with you on that. I think that is one of my favorite parts of the movie, is when Billy actually reveals his motive to, is doing what he's doing. So I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, I like the first movie. It's good. I don't like it as much as the second movie, but I would never deny its place in horror history. It's iconic. It helped rejuvenate not just the slasher subgenre, but horror in general, in my opinion. It was one of those movies that came in and lit a fire under people's asses. And I do appreciate it for that. Why don't we get into our scores, man? Unless you have something else you want to dive in here. We gotta wrap it up.
No, we're good, man. That's kind of what I want to talk about in that closing scene, was that whole motive reveal. I thought was very well done.
Yeah, I dug it. I will say this: we talked about Scream 6 earlier and our hopes for it, and whether they go with a cliffhanger or something that continues on. Regardless of what the rumors are out there, nobody knows for certain what ends up being what we see on screens in about a month's time. But I really do hope it is time for something a little bit different if you're going to keep doing this.
Look, before we go into the scores, I do want to ask you one final question. I talked about one of my favorite moments being Billy's motive. How do you feel about the whole Maureen Prescott scandal move, like all of that trickling down into all three movies? Like, are you okay with that storyline? Like, because we know Billy's mom gets involved in the second one, and then we know in the third one how that plays out, and it's obviously stuff that we'll jump into in those films. But just kind of jumping ahead, being that we talked about that, are you okay with those first three kind of going back, and I guess basically back to Maureen Prescott?
Yeah, I didn't mind it, and I thought they handled it well in the first two movies. But then in the third movie, there's a basically the whole movie's about that.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, that feels a little unearned.
Okay. Well, I can't wait to dive into that and talk about that, but I just wanted to get your... Yep.
Mike, what do you got for story and pacing, dude?
It's gonna sound like Halloween 1978 score wise, but I'm going 10, man. I know this was a big one for you as far as the pacing, but I thought the story was really good, really phenomenal, and I had no problems with the pacing.
I really dig the story. I do. I think there's something very natural that happens to it. Shouldn't be natural, but there's a natural feeling to the story. And dare I go the Jamie Lee Curtis route of saying trauma, but someone dealing with their trauma and their family trauma and how it affects them, and the relationships they have with others, and then you add this new twist into it, and you get yourself maybe a deeper movie than people give it credit for.
No, I agree. I mean, unfortunately, we've seen. I don't obviously not the Ghostface type, but we've seen trauma play out in situations like this too. Whether unfortunately it's in group shootings or other things as well. It is a lot deeper. So I agree. That was a good point.
I gave story and pacing a 6.5. The acting in this film, I think it's a really good cast. I think again the second movie's cast is better in my opinion. But I dig it. They had good talent, and I don't think anybody went on screen and performed horribly to a point where I'm calling them Tina from Halloween 5.
Ooh,
That's not happening. So
shots.
I gave the acting a 7.5. I didn't think anybody went above and beyond, but I thought it was better than average for a horror movie.
Oh man, you're killing me. You're killing me, man. I gave it a 10. I gave it a 10.
uh,
I think it's one of the better casted movies. It's up there, in my opinion.
Cinematography, I gave a 7.5. But I got to be honest, as I sit here and think back on it now, I don't know why I gave it that much because there's nothing that really stands out to me in terms of the cinematography.
See, I gave it a 9.5 because I feel like a lot of the there were a lot of good shots in this movie. Now, is it as beautiful as a Nope? Not really, but some favoritism comes into that. I just thought there were some really cool shots, especially in that opening scene. So as big and as iconic as that chase scene is, I had to, man, 9.5 for me.
The writing and directing duo, if you will, of Wes Craven and Kevin Williamson put together a brand new horror product that not only rejuvenated the slasher franchise, but in my opinion, rejuvenated the horror franchise. So at the end of the day, wherever this franchise goes from here, whether you love it or you hate it, and I do think it gets overrated a little bit, in my opinion, you cannot deny that it has left its mark, and done something with what they've had to work with, which isn't always easy. Did I give my cinematography?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah,
You didn't give yeah, you didn't give your writing though.
7.5 on the cinematography, and the writing was an 8.
Damn, all that positivity for an 8. I gave it a 10.
Yeah, I thought it was solid. I just see for me to start going into 9s and 10s, I need to think it's great.
No, I agree, and I do, and I know you don't. So it makes a lot more. It makes sense. It falls into that.
Sound and score, I had also given an 8. I thought it was very solid, very good, but I also didn't think it was anything game changing necessarily. How about you?
I gave it a 9.5. For me, there's two like certain scores in this movie that if I hear them, I immediately think of Scream. And they stand out to me personally for many reasons. So anytime a score can do that, it's always going to be high. Now, does the sound design, how does that hold up? I thought it was fine. But being that there are two kind of different types of scores in this movie that really stand out to me and really like all I got to do is hear a first few seconds and it's there. So I gave it a 9.5. Sorry, Craven. I couldn't go up that extra 0.5, but I totally hear where you're coming from, my guy.
Man, Scream made me listen to Eve 6. I will say that. It might be Scream 2. That song pops up. Anywho, let's bring them up here again and recap them. Mike with a 9 for story and pacing. I had 8. I had 8.5 for acting. Mike had 9.5. Wait, this is the wrong one. Sorry. Here we go. Story and pacing. Mike had 10. I had 6.5. Acting. Mike had 10. I had 7.5. Cinematography. Mike had 9.5. I had 7.5. Writing, directing. Mike had 10, and I had an 8. And sound and score. Mike had 9.5. And I had an 8. That gave Mike a score of 98% out of a possible 100, and I had it at 75%, which is still 3/4 of the way there. It's a solid score in my opinion. It's right there, right around the first I Know What You Did last summer. So
it's a good score.
Yeah, it's solid. I know you want more for it, which is that's the difficult part about doing
It's
it.
okay. It's okay. It's all
a
good.
2-person podcast where you have where you're doing rankings and they have a
We
dress.
have to have this though. We have to have this. Just like debate shows, like they just wouldn't work. If everybody agreed on everything, it just wouldn't be a good show.
Gives us 86.5% from Scream from 1996. Reminder to everybody, Scream 2 is next week, so be on the lookout for that. And also, don't forget, we have the Legacy of Westeros YouTube channel currently in the works. Actually, Zach and I recorded last night a couple of pieces of material. Hopefully one of them will debut a little later this week. So we'll be doing that on a different YouTube channel. And we got some other stuff coming too. In terms of right on the Phantom Empire YouTube channel, you can catch us here on Tuesdays. We're going to try to do some more updates as we go. You have Lampkin Lane with me. That's right. This guy right here, Friday afternoon. I'm going to put it out. So be on the lookout for that. It will be pre-recorded. It will not be live. And that's the makeup episode from last month. And then we will do a live episode in about a week and a half. Mike, what do you got going on, man?
Yeah, man, it's the season of Scream right now. We're obviously reviewing the Scream movies on this show. And obviously on the Take One podcast, we're doing the Road to Scream 6. We just did Scream. That was released yesterday. Scream 2 will be released. Kind of like what we're doing here on Phantom Empire, man. Excuse me. And I can't tell you how excited I am to be doing all of this Scream talk. I just hope that I'll walk out of the theater enjoying Scream 6 a lot more than I did Scream 5 because, I will say, you are going to walk away with a higher score on one of these Scream movies than I will, and it will be Scream 5. So, did you ever think that would happen?
We'll have to see. There's no guarantee that's the case.
I mean, that is true. You're right.
We'll see. We'll definitely see. Anyways, check us out. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook at Fandom Empire. Now, if you want to support the channel on another level, you can do so on Patreon, patreon.com/Fandom Empire. And a big thank you to our channel sponsors, Chris C_78, looking to get work done on a Michael Myers mask. He is the man to find on Instagram and on Twitter. Jesse Bunce Force Trauma, our guy, Mr. Matt Whitfield, and Jason Nike over at Backtrack Cinema. Check him out. He's got all sorts of stuff coming out weekly over there. A lot of retro related things, as well as my cat is literally trying to kill me. I don't know if you can see her or not. Probably not. It's too dark. She's right
I see him.
here.
Yeah.
But anyways, I think that's going to do it unless you had anything that you didn't get a chance to plug.
Nah, man. I can't wait for next week. Can't wait to hear the Patreon show, man. Excited for that.
NASCAR stuff too. If you're a NASCAR fan, Mike's got the 4 Wide podcast that you can check out with his co-host Cody, and
We-
I have the Trophy Hunters podcast, and likely a crossover with those guys coming in the near future as well.
Yeah, we're doing we're coming back strong next week, obviously for the Daytona 500, and I think we should plan for a post Daytona 500 show. I think that would
I
be
was thinking for pre-Daytona 500
okay.
show and do a preview for every team.
Whatever you want to do, just hit the chat. I'm sure.
I was going to invite all the guys from the pool.
Oh, hell no. Hell no. What time is it, by the way? Is Johnny up yet for the
Oh,
the
no,
day?
he's not in the pool. He's just a
I know.
side commission.
I was just wondering, is he up for the day yet?
He's probably asleep somewhere. Anyways, for Mike, I'm Shawn. We'll see you next week. Have a great week. Take it
Go
easy.
Birds. Go Birds.
Go Eagles, go.